Okay, it's so nice to have you in this tutorial on consumer arithmetic. I'm Teacher Alton and welcome. Today we're going to be focusing on simple and compound interest, profit and loss, and hire purchase questions. But before we do so, let us just meditate on God's word in Psalm 118, verse 5. It says, I called upon the Lord in distress. The Lord answered me and set me in a large place. So, this word is a promise that once we call upon God in the midst of our problems, in the midst of our crisis, He will respond. And not only will God help us through this situation, He will also enlarge our boundaries. In other words, God is in the business of promotion. And I'm declaring to you that whatever problem you are going through, that God is going to help you through that storm. And in the midst of that storm, you're going to see promotion happening. So I declare that over your life. Do not give up. Do not feel frustrated. Do not think that the problem is bigger than you. Just continue to cry out to your God. Okay, so question number 1 talks about simple, no, talks about compound interest. It says the Jim borrowed 12,500 at 6% per annum compound interest. So he was able to repay 5,500 after the first year, and they want us to find the interest on the loan for the first year. Okay, so the important point to note here is that we are looking at a compound interest type problem, and there's a formula that goes along with that. So if you want to know the amount, and in this case it's a loan, so the amount owing on the loan, let's call that A, after n years at a rate of interest, let's say R. I'm just going to give you a general formula first. So it is your principal, the amount you initially borrowed, 1 plus your interest, expressed as a decimal, of course, raised to the power in terms of your time. So let's put that into context now. So part A. So if Jim borrowed 12,500, that is the principal. So P is equal to 12,500. Now the rate of interest is 6%. So when you convert 6% to a decimal, you divide 6 divided by 100, you get 0.06. That's your R in this case. And let's see what they want. They want to know what is the interest on the loan after the first year. So our time in this case is 1. So the amount on the loan, let's work on that first. The amount on the loan after 1 year will be 12,500. That's the principal P multiplied by 1 plus the rate of interest, 0.06, raised to the power 1. So let's see what's happening there now. So that will be 12,500 multiplied by 1.06. Okay, and then of course, we use our calculator to give us the answer. Right, so that's 13,250. 13,250. So at the end of 1 year, the amount would be 13,250. Right, there it is. So now there's a connection between interest, amount, and principal. The amount here will constitute principal and interest. The question asks us to find the interest on the loan. So if the amount after 1 year is 13,250 and Jim borrowed 12,500, then the additional amount over that period is what's going to be the interest. Of course, we're going to subtract 12,005 from the 13,250. So let's do that. So we go back to our calculator. Let's bring it up. Right, we're going to take 13,250 and we're subtracting 12,500. So the interest there would be 750. Right, so the interest is 750. Let's write in that 750. I equals 750. Right, so that will take care of part A. All right, so let's clear the board a bit. Right, now you can start looking at part B, see what that question is asking us to do. Right here, we are told that he paid off. Remember, he paid off at the end of the first year, he paid 5,500, right? So remember, at the end of the first year, he had 13,000, right? So let's put that in the form of a timeline. He started off here at time 0, right? So this is a timeline, and the time, of course, is in years. So at this time, at the beginning, which represents at time 0, he borrowed 12,500. After 1 year, the amount went up to 13,250. That's after 1 year. Now, they say at the end of the first year, he repaid 5,005. So if we subtract 5,005 from this amount, that will be the amount will be outstanding on the loan. So let's work out that. 13,250 minus $5,500. Okay. $77.50. Right. So where are we going with this? They want us to find the balance. Find how much will the loan balance at the beginning of the second year be. So we need to find out how much would be outstanding. Okay, let's talk about this. I think I had a little situation where my sharing had stopped. Okay, so there you go. So we need to continue working this problem. We need to find out how much the balance would be on the loan at the end of the second year. So let's proceed to work out that. So the amount we're working with, which will be now the principal, will be 7,750. And again, from the first year to the second year will just be a period of 1 year at the same interest rate, which is the 6%, right? So this will be raised to the power 1. So the amount at the end of the second year will be 7,750 multiplied by 1.06. Right, so let's work out that. Okay, so $8,215. So after the first year is 13,250. After the second year, it will be 8,215. Calculate the interest on the remaining balance for the second year. Well, same thing. So to find the interest, you subtract 7,750 from the 8,215. So let's work that out. 7. So we subtracting those numbers there, and let's find the interest over that second year, right? First into the second year. Okay, so 8,215 minus 7,750. Okay, so the interest there was just $465. Right, so it's 8,215, right? So calculate the interest for the second year. So we just put a line through this. Calculate the interest for the second year. All right, so what did I just do there? It was not, hold on. Let's look over that. I think I made an error there in writing it down. Let's do the calculation. So we're going to subtract 7,750 from the 8,215. So 8,215 minus 7,750. Right, 465, right? That's the interest right there. So let's fix that. Okay, so once you take your time with these compound interest type problems and you keep rechecking your working, right? It should be okay. Okay, so let's go to question number 2 involving Natalie now. What did Natalie do? Let's see. What did Natalie do? So we are told Natalie paid 5,300 for 20 watches, right, which she bought from the US. And she also has to pay 12% import duty tax. Calculate the total cost of the watches, right? I know we can do that one. So you see how important mathematics is in real life. If you are so inclined to start your business, you need to be able to crunch these numbers, right, and keep a proper record. So let's keep a record for Natalie. She paid 5,300 for 20 watches imported from that, and she also has to pay 12% import duty. So what's the total cost for the watches? Right, so total cost, right, would be the gross price that she paid plus the import duty, right? Let's call it an import tax. So we need to work out what is that 12%. So the import duty, right, and that's our import tax, that would be 12% of the amount she paid. Right, so there it goes, 12 over 100 multiplied by 5,300. Of course, the calculator can do that first, but humor me a bit. Let's do some old school arithmetic. So it's 12 by 53. And of course, at this point, I depend on Mr. Calculator there to make things easier for me. All right, so multiply 12 by 53, $636 in tax. So we'll have to add that $636 to this figure up here, right? These two. And when we add that, well, we can see what the figure gonna be. The total amounts you'll have to pay will be $5,936, right? $5,936. So that is how much she paid. All right. She sold the 20 watches at $450 each, right? So she bought 20. This is how much she paid. That's the cost price. The selling price is $450 for one. Calculate total profit made on the sale of the 20 watches, right? So let's work out how much she got to gross revenue in selling those 20 watches at that price. All right, so that looking like a cool Calculate a cool $9,000. Old school maths again. 450 multiplied by 20. This will be 90. And you bring down these zeros. That's $9,000. No, so if she got $9,000 and the total cost was 59.36, then the difference would be what you can call profit, right? So let's work that out. 9,000 minus 59.36, right? 9,000 minus 59.36, 30.64. That's a lot of profit. That's not bad at all. 30.64 in profit. And we need to calculate the profit now as a percentage of what? Right, so the profit here, let's see, was 30.64. We need to work out that as a percentage of the cost price. Remember, the cost price was 59.36. So we're going to take 30.64 and we're going to divide that by 59.36 percentage as the profit as a percentage of the cost price. And right. So therefore, she made around 51.6%. Let's call it 52. Right? Let's call it 52%. Calculate the profit as a percent of the cost price inclusive of import duty. Okay, so given your answer to one decimal place is right. So let's call it 51.6%, right? That's the one decimal place. Okay, so that wasn't bad. She did well. So congratulations to Natalie there. Let's go to question number 3. So what are they saying about Fred? Fred bought a computer from WTech Limited on hire purchase by making a down payment of $1,500 and so. Now, again, this is a normal occurrence in real life where you have these persons, customers going in and purchasing them items from these various furniture stores, for example. They pay down and then, of course, they enter into an agreement, a hire purchase agreement, to pay off the outstanding balance, right? So let's see how this problem shapes up. So what is the total hire purchase price? So what we gotta do is, right, so we gotta calculate, let's see how do we take this off. Right, so we got to calculate the total amount for the hire purchase price. Hire purchase 1,500 and 12 monthly, right? So the total hire purchase price will be the down payment 1,500 plus $250 multiplied by 12. 250 by 12. That's 3,000 plus 1,500. So that's 4,500 in all. Right, what does this say? If the hire purchase price yields a 20% profit, what was the cost price of the computer? Okay, so not bad. So if it is buying at this price, the hire purchase price causes the company to get a profit of 20%. So we could use this approach. It means that the price of that they paid, 4,500, is equivalent to that 120. Of course, the 20 represents the profit here. So we are asked now to find the cost price. Now the cost price is that price equivalent to 100%, which is the whole. Right, so okay, if you wish, let's call this. A couple of ways you can do this. So let's explore two methods here. Right, so the first method is Let's call it the method number 1. Let's call it the unity method. I'm just calling it that, right? All right, take out the T, the unit method. Right, let's call it the unit method. Right, so what this method says is if you know 120% is equivalent to that, you find what represents 1%, which will be 4,500 divided by 120. All right, and of course, you could work it out. What is that value? And then you can work out what 100% represents. So if you know what is 1%, you simply multiply that answer by 100 to get 100%, which is equivalent to the cost price. So let's work out that. 4,500 divided by 120. 37.5. And then, of course, you multiply that by 100. This will be 3750. Right, so let's fill in the blanks here. This is 37.5, and of course this is final answer here is 3750. So the cost price using this method, the cost price here would be 3750. Now the second method, and let me just call it method 2. Number 2 is we're going to call using your, all right, algebraic method, right? So you just want to incorporate some algebra here. So using the same setup I had just now, 120 is, and if you want, you may even want to fancy it up and draw a nice little table like this. 120 is equivalent to 4,500. I just explained it across here. And you need to figure out what is 100. You can call this X. Now, how you work this method is like this. You can put an equal sign here. So this fraction over this fraction equals this fraction over X, right? 4,500. 120 over 100 equals 4,500 over X. So treat this as a fraction and treat this one as a fraction and put the equal sign in between. So let's continue that method. So if you have 120 over 100 is equal to 4,500 over X, we know there's a technique in solving this type of equation, which is called cross multiplication. So you're going to get 120x is equal to 4,500 multiplied by 100, right? So if you're solving for x, you divide both sides by 120. Right, and let's see what's going to happen here now. Well, I hope that method doesn't fail me. 4,500 divided by 120, let's do that. So we're going to call up the calculator again. Let's clear this. So it's 4,500 multiplied by 100 equals, and then we divide this by 120. We're supposed to get the same answer, which is 3750. There you go. So whichever one you like. So therefore X, which is the cost price, will be 3750. So you have two approaches using the algebra. Once you set up the table correctly, and I'm referring to this part here, that's your little table. If you set up that correctly, putting the numbers in the right place, the unknown value is what you need to solve. In this case, that's the cost price. It's always equivalent to 100% that we see here. And of course, you work the sum accordingly. So we figure out that sum there already, cost price. Right, is there more to it, or do we go to question number 4 now? Right, so we have one last question here. All right, and let's see how that works. So you have a bill, a customer's bill. Let's see if it makes sense of it. Vivek's bill at the close king is shown below. right? So he bought some items, shirt, ties, caps, and so on, right? So they are missing values, which we call in A, B, C, D, and E. And these are your unit costs, and that's the total cost, and so on. Okay, what is the value of A, the number of shirts which Vivek bought? So let's deal with this one first. So whatever the quantity is multiplied by unit price will give you the total cost. So if we have to find the quantity, in this case, A, we're going to take this value. So the value for A, which is the quantity, would be total cost, 263. And we're going to divide that, 263.80, and we're going to divide that by the unit price, 65.95. Right, so let's see how many shirts he bought. Two six 0.80 divided by 65.95 equal, right, so he bought 4 shirts. So the value of A would be 4. So you can write that in the table there. He bought 4 shirts. All right. If the price of a tie is 20% less than the price of a cap, okay, find the values of B and C. Oh, that's a lot coming at us here, boy. 20% less than the price of a cap. Where's the price of the cap now? So this is the unit price of your cap right here. So we need to find the unit price for the tie. 20% less than that. So it's really 80% the price of the what? Of the cap. So let's find the price of a tie. Price of tie, right? And that's one tie. That's the unit cost. It's 20% less. So it means that it's 80% the price of the cap, right? So let's work out that. We could take 80% of 150. The nice thing about math is that it causes you to think in a kind of logical manner. So let's see how that goes. So we have 0.8 multiplied by 150, and that'll be $120, right? So we know the price, the price of a tie, right? So we have this value here. It's 120. And of course, if we bought 3 of them, 120 by 3 will give us 360. Right? So we forgot B and C. We did this one, we did this one. If a tax of 15%, which is right here, of the total cost price is added to Vivek bill, what is the value of D? So we're going to work out his total, the total cost for these 3 items, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to add the 15% tax and work it there. Right, so again, the calculator comes in handy here. So all right, so let's do that. His total cost is 263.80. Add 360. Add 1200. 1823.80. So let's write that his total cost is, right, let's call it total cost. Let's see if I remember it. 1823.80. That's his total cost for those 3 items. Right, let's double check that. Right, so what do we do after that? Right, so we got to figure out the VAT, the 15% VAT. Double check that, make sure I have the number written down correctly. 1823.80. Right now it's 15% that value. So you're multiplying this now by 0.15. So his VAT would be 273.57. So that's the value of the 273.57. So we're gonna add that, hence calculate the value of E, which is his total bill inclusive of the tax. So we simply add the 273.57 here, right? So again, Time for some old school maths. 0 and 7 is 7. 8 and 5 is 13. 3 and 3, 6 plus the 1 outside there is 7. 7 to 9. 8 and 2, 10. Right. So he has a bill of $2,000 plus. Right. So his total bill here is $2,097 and 37 cents. Not bad. Okay, so I think that should be it. 7 to 9, 10, 1, 2. Okay, so it is always a pleasure working these problems with you. I think that brings us to the end of it. So you're welcome to join us again for another tutorial. Of course, check the website, maths123.org, and you'll get all your tutorials there, as well as the accompanying video solutions. Until then, may God continue to bless you. Take care. Bye.